Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. This chapter kind of got away with me, away from me a little bit. And I went from taking this bit of footage and wanting to add this circle to here, to what I'm going to show you. But in this chapter, I forgot just how much I love this technique. And I'm going to show you how to take your footage, stock footage, from this to there's a lot of techniques in this, and we're going to go through each and every one, because we've gone from literally just stock footage of a bit of an outside urban nighttime scene to a projection of a notification that we've gone to war. It's, yeah, get your seatbelt and strap in, because this is quite the chapter. Tracking composite and everything that goes with it. In short, this is moving with the footage. So we're tracking that. The composite is everything else that goes into this. The footage, the way in which we make it look like it's on there, and the audio that goes with it. Make sure you've got a drink and some snacks. Let's get into it. This time we're going to get our footage from ArtGrid. Now, I've mentioned ArtGrid before, and ArtGrid are the video side of Artlist, where we got music from. And they do sound effects. So if I go here and click music and sound effects, this opens up in Artlist for me. And remember, we were in here and we were picking out music. Well, if we click footage, it opens another tab. We don't need all of these. And this is our footage side. And I just there's a reason why I like to recommend this as well. And that's because, let's say you're doing some form of video that you want. Say you want this guy, and he's a cool looking fella with a mobile phone, but you kind of want options. You know, you want options with regards to this. And by that, I mean maybe different scenes. Well, as you can see, I mouse over and I get a preview of what that is. If I click it, it gives me all the information. I'll go back to that in a second. It gives me all the information of what this is available in. It gives me the tags. But if I scroll down, this is part of a collection called City Scoot by a contributor called Anna Tolipova. And as you can see, that's the clip we saw. But if we mouse over these, this is loads of the same footage. We also have another person set up just like that. And as you can see, there's plus 55. So we've got loads from this same shoot. So not just the same people and the same props. So people, I say, talent, but we also have the same settings, predominantly the same color, not just their clothing, but the color grading. As I keep scrolling, I mean, we've got 55 clips that we've got loads of availability in here. And you can see what this story is telling. They're both now on the scooter scooting away, but she's similar place to him, taking a selfie. They've obviously met. We're going back over this meeting, but he's there waiting for her. They take a selfie together. You could make up a whole story with regards to this. So maybe you're doing a video for, a new messaging app where people can meet people. You've got the whole storyboard there. You just need to download them and edit it up exactly how you want it. It's such a powerful resource, this. And just like with the music in Artlist, once you download, let me go to there. Once you download the music here, you have a license for that to use everything from online to on even broadcast television and even cinema. And it's the same for the footage. You can use it in anything that you want. You have a license to use it in perpetuity in one project. If you wanted to use the same thing again in a new project, you just come back and download it again. Okay. I think that's enough of a sales pitch, although it's not really a sales pitch, of Artlist. They're brilliant. They're so good. And just like with everything that I'm recommending in this course, link is in the course outline sheet for how you can get to this. And just like with Artlist, I think if you click through, I think they're currently, and I think that they've run it forever. You get like the first 2 months free, or you get 2 months added for the price of 12 months or whatever. So the footage we're going to use for this actually comes from a contributor called Alex Botten, and this is in Montreal, and we're going to use this footage right here. What stands out to me about this footage? Well, first and foremost, I like it. It's gritty. We've got people here. It's kind of a night scene, but we've got leading lines here that I can really make use of to track. So we're going to add that to cart. And we're going to check out. Obviously, there's nothing to pay for right now because it's a subscription, and I want 4K footage right there. So that's how I do that. Grab that, and good, that's downloaded. And I just created a new folder called B-roll art grid. I'm going to paste that into there. Good. And I'm going to drag this into Premiere Pro. So straight into here and drag that into here. Okay, so I've brought the footage in here, and the best setup for doing this that I've found is to obey every single thing with regards to the footage. So this is 4K footage. It's also, if I mouse over, it's at 23.976 frames. It's 4096. So that's just gone off 4096 by 2160. So yeah, we want to use all of that information. We want to set up our sequence that obeys all this. And the short and quick way to do that, rather than starting, Control N and starting a new sequence and trying to feed all those in, all we do is we just right click and we go down to New Sequence from Clip. Okay, so it creates the sequence for us, it names it what it is, and it puts it where we've created it. Okay, I'm just going to rename this as Tracking Composite. Hit enter, and we're in here, and that's now changed. So we're going to do just as what we normally do. We're going to hold down Alt and drag up to create a new layer. And where are we going to go? Yeah, you guessed it. We are going to go to After Effects. Right click and replace with After Effects Composition. And here we are in here with our clip. Now we have tracked things in here before, and what I want to do is I want to track this area here, and we could use the tracker and we could create a mask and track that on here. However, there's a much more powerful tool within After Effects. It didn't used to be. It used to be quite a lot of money, and still the pro version is still quite a lot of money. However, the company who make this system, which is Boris FX, they make what's called Mocha and Mocha Pro, as in, a macchiato mocha, as in, is that coffee and chocolate, a mocha? So they make Mocha Pro, and Adobe signed a deal with them in recent years, and they have actually included a light version of Mocha in After Effects, which is so helpful. And I think the reason why Adobe did this was because Boris FX's tracking algorithm is better than any other on the market. I mean, you'd have to probably go to maybe the likes of Red Giant, who are another plugin and software developer within this realm to get close to the quality. So unlike other effects that we would use within After Effects, we need to have our clip selected, and we go to Effect, and Boris actually has its own subsection within Effects, and it's Mocha AE that we're going to do. Anywhere through here, as you've got your layer, whether it be, video or photo or graphics or vector or anything, once you've got that selected, when you come up to Effect, whenever you select anything here, it adds it. Okay, I've got a few in here that you may not have. I have Digital Anarchy Beauty Box. I work a lot in the beauty industry with my company, and sometimes we just need to retouch, but not too much. I stand against a lot of that. Anyway, I'm not going to get my soapbox out today. So we go to Boris FX Mocha and click Mocha AE. Now what that's done, although you can't really see anything, it's added corner pins. If I click out, you can't see. When I click in, yeah, okay, it's not there anymore. But if we go up to our effects control, you can see now that we have little circles around here. You may or you may not be able to see that. That's no problem. But here is where we have our Mocha. Just another recap, just like in Premiere Pro, we have effects controls. And if we click a clip, we have stuff here. Bearing in mind, obviously, this is the pre-comp that we're currently working on in After Effects. But that has effects controls as too. That has effects controls too. In here, the only thing that we have right now in our effects controls in After Effects is Mocha. And to launch Mocha, it already tells you launch Mocha. We click the logo. And what this is going to do is it's going to open up effectively another program, but it's another program like Premiere Pro into After Effects. So it's kind of another program, but it's working with the other program. So effectively, we're 2 layers deep now. We're working on Mocha, which is working in After Effects, which is working in Premiere Pro. I know I mentioned earlier on in this course, if you're a fan of, what's the film? If you're a fan of Inception, if you haven't watched Inception, you should watch it. It's brilliant. It's all about dreams and going so many layers deep. Anyway, you'll get this splash screen from Boris. This is Mocha Pro. Just very briefly, if I bring up Mocha Pro and we have a quick look here, the Mocha Pro, what this does is it goes even further. So it's working on, if you see these 2 clips here, it's working on the mesh. And you can see not only do we have like maybe a bounding box around it, but also we have the mesh working out the different perspectives, because obviously a basketball is rounded in parts, and that logo that's been placed on it is really quite accurate. It's an amazing tool. If we look here in Mocha Pro, let's just mute that. You see how, yeah, it's so clever. It's using mesh and creating everything within this system. I mean, this is so many levels up from even what I'm capable of. It's such, I mean, look at that. I mean, that really gets me. I watched this a couple of times. But look, this is Hollywood. So you've got blue screen. They've obviously chosen blue rather than green, probably because we've got greens in the likes of the uniforms and stuff. But if we click that through, oh, is this the Umbrella Academy? I think it is. If you haven't seen the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, it's fantastic. But if I click through, I mean, this is Mocha. And what Mocha will be doing is it will be tracking all these surfaces. And then whenever they place in, will move around in the scene correct to all the tracking data. We're going to do a lot lower intensity than this, but this is what Mocha Pro is capable of. I mean, look, that's with the t-shirts, and he's putting on a logo, and you can spend hours and a fortune on Mocha, but yeah, we won't get there yet. There you go as well. There's another example. I wonder why they used a picture of me. I wish. But you see how, again, this has a green outline on one arm, a green outline on another arm, and a green outline on the torso. And this will be 3 different tracks, all with meshes in there as well. You see how you've got the triangles, and the triangles will move in within it. And to track that, it's literally very similar to what we're going to be doing in this, but then just even more detailed. And that's what you get when you get the Pro. But the Pro is very expensive. We're talking like 300 British pounds right now for kind of like the standard version, even, which is, higher than the light version that we use as built in After Effects. But yeah, if this kind of thing really kind of gets you going, you should really look into to Boris FX and Mocha Pro. It's brilliant. So anyway, without further ado, we are now in Mocha, and we're going to do something so much less intricate than what you've just seen. However, it does take a bit of time to get your head around, and that's what I'm here for. So first and foremost, we're going to start with the X-Spline tool. Well, what is that? Well, it's just a name, and in all honesty, it's just a pen tool. See it up here? If you mouse over, create X-Spline layer tool, and we're going to click on that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to track a certain area of this. And what I want to do is I want to track this surface here. And the reason why I picked this surface is because it's going to be probably one of the easiest to track, because we've got a line down there, a line there, a line there, and a line there. What I would like to do is kind of come all the way out. And you know what? I'll try that first and see how accurate I can get that track. But yeah, we shall see. So if we start as we mean to go on, and we need to click somewhere. So I'm going to go and click right at the top corner here, and we now have a point. Okay. So as you can see, we've got blue and we've got red here. The blue is the handles. The red is the line, which will be the bounding area. But you'll see as we go around, the red will start to round off and the blue will stay rigid. You'll see what I mean. And what we're looking to do is we're trying to, you can't see right now, but right behind that red line is actually a dashed blue line as well, which we'll see once we do the next point and we start to move out from there. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to line up the blue line. So if we come down here and click right there, and if I start to move out now, I'm not dragging, by the way, I'm just single clicking with my left mouse button. And can you see the blue? I wish I had two mouse pointers. When you see the blue dashed line around here, as I move out, it starts to create. Can you see it? And what we're trying to do is we're trying to line that up along this line here. So if I come down here, I'm gonna try and track all the way to the end here. So I'm looking along this vertical here to try and find a point where I can click on there, and the dashed blue line sits right along this line. So let's see if we can find that. Down a little bit. I'm thinking maybe about there. Now, remember the footage that we just saw before with the blue screen and all the dots all the way around it. The dots and the X's in blue screen and green screen are to give more and more tracking points for the editor, for the motion graphics artist, which is kind of what we're doing here. It's motion graphics. So now I've set this point here. I'm now going to try and trace that dotted blue line. You see, looking down here as I move up, that dashed blue line up there. I'm trying to line that up with the wall going vertical and get this top corner at the same time. If I click that, that's now created the 4 points that I want to track. So what do I do now? Right. Well, it only obeys the last left mouse button. Okay. So once I'm happy with it, all I wanted to do was do the 4 boxes. I think what actually I might do is I might do another point here, just to kind of bit of belt and braces. So let's click that there. And that's good. And I would now want to close it up. So I don't click over here to close it up. All I do is right click on my mouse button, and that finishes it off. Okay. Happy with that. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control Z, come back, and I'm actually going to put a point here as well. Just to make it absolutely spot on, or at least as accurate as I can. So last one, and right click, and we're done. So this, in a sense, has given Mocha the first layer, not the right word, the first guide for our tracking. But now we can help it even further, because we've got to think of perspective as well. And what do I mean by perspective? Well, if you look at your screen right now, whatever screen you're looking at, if you look at your screen, the perspective that you're looking at it at, if you're sat right in front of it, is straight on. It's absolutely straight on. And there's very little in terms of a different perspective. You are perpendicular to your monitor, your screen. Whereas this wall is not straight on. This is kind of like off to the side. If we were looking straight ahead, which would be possibly this lamppost, if you move your head to the left to look at here, you're looking at an angle. And that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about angles. So the perspective of this is going to be slightly off, as opposed to if it was right in front of you and straight. Another way to kind of see that is to think about vanishing lines. If we look at these lines here, that line going all the way along there, and maybe this line down here at the bottom going all the way along here, you could say that this line is traveling from bottom left towards top right, because it's going up and right. Up here we're top left, and we're kind of going down to the bottom right, so because we're going down in the screen and to the right. So it's safe to assume that if these lines were to continue at some point, they would meet. At the point where these two lines met nice and grammatically correct. At the point in which these two lines would meet, or had met, I'm tripping myself up now, that would be called the vanishing point, and would be way off here, like way over to the right hand side. So that's what we kind of want this program to think about as well, the vanishing lines, because anything that we put on here, we want it to obey the same laws as the vanishing points of here. That helps whatever graphic we put on here to obey it, if that makes sense. So to give it even more of a fighting chance, what we need to do is we need to use these two tools here. So we need to click this one first, which is to show a planar surface. Now that brings in a box. This box has no perspective in it right now. And now when this is overlaid over to here, you can see just how different this box is, the one that we traced out, compared to this box. I mean, neither is actually a box if we're going to be accurate. Both are rectangles because they're taller than they are wide. But this definitely shows you how different a perspective this surface is that we're trying to track. So now that we've clicked this on, we're going to bring on another guide to help us with our eyes. And that is this right here, which is the planar grid. This is toggleable. Toggleable? Yeah, you can toggle this on and off. So if you click it, there's our grid. Click it again, we get rid of it. So we want it on. And again, this is just kind of an extension of the blue box that we brought up. So what do we do with this? Well, first and foremost, we need to move these corners to obey these corners, the corners that we put in. So let's start at the top left, and you'll see how this rectangle also has the corners extended out on them. And once I start moving this, the outside corner will turn red. Okay. And that's just showing, it just kind of gives us another color. So it's not blue on blue, because we're looking at these blue handles now. So I'm going to try and get this corner of this corner right in there. Go on. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We can zoom, by the way. We can click on the zoom button, and then we just drag in like this. It's a bit clunky. It's a bit annoying within here. We can go to the hand tool, so we can move it around, which is helpful as well. It's not the same as in After Effects where you hit spacebar and drag around, because I just started playing it there and we don't want to be doing that. So let's go back to our selection tool, and I'm just going to get that right in. I think that's about accurate enough. Let's come down to here and do the same with the bottom corner. I do wish that it kind of magnified. You know, like in After Effects, it magnifies when you start dragging around the tracking point. It doesn't in Mocha, but that looks quite good. I'm happy with that. Let's grab this and put it into this corner. Go on. And now if I zoom out, if we look at this grid as a whole, just move this, stop pressing play. Let's drag this back. I spend most of my time in After Effects, not necessarily in Mocha. You see here, if we're looking now at this grid, this planar surface, you can see that we've corrected 3 points, but this is leaning way out. And what is going to bring this back in to kind of mimic this is this point here. So as we bring this down, you'll see that it starts to really obey that surface. Are we happy with that? Yeah, I think so. So I'm happy with that. Now that looks okay. I've done a little bit more tweaking just to make it absolutely, well, as accurate as I think I can make it. And yeah, what we're kind of going for is to think that this grid, if it was pushed back, would it obey these lines? And I think it would. I think it would. So let's see how we go. So we now want to track this, but we don't use these controls down here. This is just to play forward, play backwards, and go frame by frame, forwards and backwards. We use these over here, the track motion options. And because we're looking at perspective, we need to toggle on perspective as well. For some reason, it's toggled off by default. So we want to track it. So we use here. And because we're right at the beginning, we just track forward and see what Mocha does. And this is where you can really see whether everything that you're doing is accurate and if it's obeying everything. And it looks okay. I think it's tracking correctly. It looks all right. I mean, this is doing it in real time, so it's doing frame by frame, and it does look like it's obeying everything. Yeah. Because you see, the thing is, although you can't really make out, this will be changing in size a bit, which is why we're tracking the scale as well, because as the camera moves, even like a micro movement forwards or backwards towards it, as it moves forwards, it will grow in size, and backwards it will decrease in size. So that's what this is tracking as well, along with the rotation, the skew, the transformation, and the perspective. It's doing a lot in one job, really. But hopefully this looks like quite an accurate track, and it will give us something that we can work with. As you can see, I haven't paused this. This is real time, and it's doing it frame by frame. And yeah, a couple more moments, and it looks like we should have our track complete. Are we done? Done. Cracking. So what do we do? Well, let's go back and let's see how that track is done. So we bring it back to the beginning, play it in real time. There's a bit of movement there right at the beginning. If I stop that, the first few frames, if I press play again, it does move a little, but from that point on, it seems to track, yeah, quite well. This starts to ping pong. It just does that by default. So it goes forward and then goes backwards. So I'm just going to pause it here, and let's just drag it slowly to see where that movement is. It's kind of to there, isn't it? I'm going to come forward a little bit more, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. He says a little bit, and I'm just going to grab my selection tool, and I'm just going to bring this up further into these corners. Just see how it's moved off a little. It's not quite accurate. Let's track that backwards from there, see how that does. That seems to be holding on it better. Okay, let's play forward and see how that does. Still a little bit of a shift, but I think we're good. I think we're good. Okay. Fingers crossed, famous last words. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. And what do we do now? Well, we just save it. We either go to File and Save Project, or just Control and S on your keyboard, and that has saved all that data. So we can just close that now. We can always open it again by coming up here and launching Mocha again with this selected. But right now, we have all our tracking data in here. Now, if we twirl down here, all we need to do is click Create Tracking Data to get that tracking data. Okay, so we click it, and it's going to bring up a little dialog box here. Now, in previous versions of Mocha, maybe about 12 months ago, 18 months ago, this cog was turned off by default, and I've got no idea why, because that's what we're working on. We're working on layer 1, although it's not titled layer 1, that's what Mocha calls it, and the cog was turned off. So just keep an eye, and if that cog is turned off, just make sure it's turned on, and we just press OK. And now what it's done is it's created all that tracking data. You see these? These are corner pins. So that's the top left corner pin, that's the bottom left, bottom right, top right. And the center is a corner pin as well, but it's not a corner, but it's fine. And as we drag through, you can see that those corner pins, they move with that. That's all the data right there. So how do we use this? Well, we need to create something to then be able to put in something. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a placeholder. But one thing I forgot to show you, if I go back into Mocha, as I said, you could easily just open up Mocha again, close all that, and this still has our tracking data all the way through. If I select it, there's all our stuff. We've got our planar surface there as well. But a way to check this within Mocha is if you go to Layer Properties and go to Insert Clip, and handily, Mocha provide their own logo. Just in case you were unaware that what you were using, we've got Mocha. And if we press play now, that kind of shows you whether your track is accurate. You see what I mean? Because rather than just the boxes, it's giving you something to stick to it, just to kind of give you an idea if it has tracked well. And I'm quite happy with that. That looks quite good to me. But the proof will be in the pudding. Control and S just to save that. Didn't need to. I didn't really change anything other than put this in. But this never exports with it. It stays within Mocha. And so we've got our tracking data, we created it, and all we need to do now is we go to right click, new and solid. We're just going to use a black solid for now. Remember, like you've got color mats in Premiere Pro, we have black solids in here, we have solids in here, and it gives you the color name. So if I've done that, medium red, so I love that. I wish Premiere Pro would label the color as well, rather than just saying, color matte, but yeah, been waiting for them to do that for years. Anyway, going to press OK. And now we have that color right in front of us. Nothing's gone. We've just got another layer above. So what we want to do is we want to take the tracking data from this clip from Mocha, and we want to put it onto this solid. So what we do is we click on the actual clip in our timeline, and we need to export this tracking data that we created. So we created before, remember, we made sure that the cog was turned on, and then we just go layer to export, and we're going to rename this. I could have named it at the point where I created it, but I forgot. So I'm just going to say this, call this tracking placeholder, and press enter. I'm just doing that so the name will come up easily on here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so what we do is we make sure that corner pin is selected. We don't want corner pin support motion blur or transform. We just have transform even. We have corner pin selected. Drop down the layer to export to and click tracking placeholder. And then we just simply click apply export. And there is everything put up to there. And now if we press play, it's pretty good that, isn't it? I mean, it's really good. So now we want to get something on here. So what do we do to do that? Well, it's a little bit of a trick. And what we're doing first is we need to nest this so then we can use it. And to do that, it's not called a nest in After Effects. It's called a pre-comp. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to pre-compose. And what we do, well, this dialog box doesn't always come up whenever you're making a pre-composition. It has now because it knows that this has a load of information in it. It has all the tracking data in it. So it gives you the options. Do you leave all attributes in the project or do you move all attributes to the new composition? We want to keep them on the outside. All this here, we want to keep it on the outside, not on the inside. If we left it on the inside, it would screw everything up. So we leave all our attributes in the project and we open the new composition. So what this is going to do is it's going to nest it effectively, pre-compose it, and then it's going to open this in a new composition, which will then go all red again. Watch. Okay. But this right here is just this right here. Okay. So what do we do now? Well, I made something in Illustrator. I made a circle. You can use anything, by the way, and I will show you towards the end that you really can use anything. But I made just a nice little graphic to go into here, and I've called it circle. It's just a little bit of a vector art, and I don't know, I'm starting to really play with vector art and all that kind of stuff, and I just like it. So here's my vector art. I like it. It's pretty. And I have dragged it into here, circle. Okay. As you can see, it's the After Effects. It's the Illustrator.ai. It's the Illustrator file. I'm just going to drag this down into here. I'm going to hide this solid, and you can't see it because it's black. So I'm going to turn on the alpha channel, and there we have it. If we click back, looky. And if I press play, it's there. Right, okay, let's play with this now. So we can now size this up. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to press S, and I'm going to, I'm just going to size up from the middle. So we just size this up all the way. I'm going to put it as big as possible. And I'm also going to turn on continuous rasterization, which will cut down the anti-aliasing. If I turn this up to full, it kind of looks okay, but there are still jagged edges. So I'm going to turn on this right here, which is, if I mouse over, will it tell me? Rasterize, yeah, to continuously rasterize. And that just means it will continuously read from it to avoid any kind of jagged edges. If I come back here now, we now have this guy. And as we play along, that wasn't there before, was it? So as you can see, this is kind of taller than it is wide. That's purely because the tracking has squeezed this, and because this isn't, this right here is the same aspect ratio as this clip. And because this is now shorter within there, it's taller than it is wide, if that makes sense. So all we can do, we can make it wider so it squeezes less. And just like we size up and down with scale, well, that's keeping the height as well as the width. This little linking button here, if we turn that off, it's the constrain proportions. I would have never been able to tell you that. It just means that it's as tall as it is wide. If we turn that off and now start pulling the left one, we go wider. Similarly, if we play with the right one, we go taller. So if we go wider for us and then we come back, you can see we're now circle. That was quite a fluke. That looks good, doesn't it? But let's say I want it to be white. How do I make this white? Well, there's two ways. We still have this file, so we could change that in Illustrator. However, you might not have the file. You might just have a PNG or something, and you might want to change this color, and you might not want to edit it because you're not able to edit it. The easy way to do this is to come into the pre-comp, and we want to go to effects and presets, and we're going to start typing color, and depending on whether your language is English UK or American UK, you may be spelling color differently. We have to obey the US, the American version of color, which does not have a U. This is how you spell color in UK English, COLOUR. But just remember, there's no U in American. And what we want to do is we want to change to color. Okay, so we drag this onto our circle, and right up here we now have in our effects controls our change to color dialog, and this is black, so we're going to pick it. Remember our picking tool? We're going to select black, and we want to change it to white. So white is already selected. Let's just change it to a different color just to kind of show you. I'm going to change it to red, and we're going to select hue, lightness, and saturation. And that literally changes everything. And we go back, and now it's red. That makes sense? That's the easiest way to change the color in After Effects. It's a little known, it's a really little known tool, but it's really helpful. So let's go back here, and now that's red. Good. However, it doesn't quite fit, does it? Because it really is standing out. So we need to make it look more like the whole surface, like it's actually there, not being projected onto there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Motion Array. Remember in Motion Array, we've got it up here as a plugin. Oh, look, it's updated. Good. What you also have with the plugin is you have the whole sources the whole online source that you can use, actually web-based. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look for, I mean, it's technically photos, I would imagine. I want an overlay. So I'm going to go for, I don't know, like a gritty, yeah, let's say concrete. Let's see what it brings us. Yeah, okay, this is exactly what I was looking for. Good. So grungy concrete, that's the one that kind of stands out to me. That looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, like that. Okay, so we're going to download that. And there's my grungy concrete JPEG. And if I get that, I'm going to put that in images in our thing. You see how it's so important to have all your folders all set up how you want them to. Look, circle is in here as well. It's just so important, because if you ever need to refer back to something, it's great. If you just leave everything, say I've downloaded that and that came into my downloads folder. If I left that in my downloads folder and then just worked from it, and then once I'd finished that, okay, cool. And you know how full and chock-a-block your downloads folder can get. And sometimes I don't know about you, but I kind of rage quit and just select everything and shift and delete, bypass the recycle bin, go. And then if a couple of months down the line, if I've still got this project and I double click and open it, well, this will have been deleted along with anything else that I just left in my downloads folder. So you try and avoid that at all costs. So I'm going to come back to After Effects. I'm going to go into the project area and I'm going to drag in my grungy concrete on here. And I'm going to go into this pre-comp, which is open here. And I'm going to drag this just on top. So there is my concrete. If I press S to scale and P for position. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of put it to the size. Alt and scroll up and down on my wheel if I need to replace it. I'm just going to get it the same size as this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit clever. And we're going to use this as what's called a Luma track mat. If I toggle my switches here, I have track mats available. And what this does effectively is it creates, I'm using the Luma part of this. So remember when we were in Premiere Pro? Yeah, doesn't look quite right at the moment, does it? If we go into color, I remember in our curves, we had down here, we had hue versus Luma and Luma versus sat. Well, the Luma is the luminescence, and that's kind of what we want to take from this. But what we're not going to do is this isn't to affect this image. We're going to use the circle underneath to punch through it. And to do that, we just drop that down and go to Luma Matte. And you can see it will always be affected by what's above it. So grungy concrete, background texture, boom, done. And all of a sudden we have this real concreted texture feel. And if we come out of here and leave that to update, that looks much better. Much better. I'm actually going to scale this out a little bit more. Not that one. Although I might have to. If I bring this out, no, let's unlock it and scale it out a little bit more. You see how we're now getting off the side of the concrete. So we need to scale that up so it totally covers it and come out a bit more. That looks better. And if we play that back, that's brilliant. Control S to save that. Let's come back to Premiere Pro. Let that update. Come back to my editing. And there we are. Once everything kind of catches up. And yeah, so if we play that back now, we're fully tracked. And now that we have that in there, we can put whatever we want in there. Let's say we want another piece of footage. Let's get some footage from, just a quick bit of footage from, Motion Array. Let's just size this out a little bit so we can see where we're playing. And okay, let's try something. I'm going to get this down, which is like a countdown. And then let's, let's put maybe invasion. I'm trying to think, like maybe alien. I'm thinking maybe does she look like an alien? I'm thinking about maybe like putting like, you know, like something up here like there's an alien invasion attack. Let's just put maybe war. Yeah, maybe maybe this. I quite like that, the helicopters coming over, if they come over anytime soon. Do they? Yeah, let's do that. So we'll grab that, and bearing in mind that we've done nothing in as much as we haven't gone out with the camera. It's all here. It's all through stock footage. Obviously, I mean, I made this little graphic, but that really didn't take that much. And we've got helicopters fly overhead and a vintage countdown sequence. So if we go into motion array and we go for helicopters fly overhead, just going to drag that into there, and we've got vintage, wherever it is, vintage countdown sequence. I'm going to drag that here. And the reason why I'm dragging it on here is because I want to time it, because we're on top of our other footage. So if I go, maybe go from 3. Yeah, go from 3, cut that and delete that, bring that back to the beginning. And then we know that our helicopters don't come in anytime soon. So we're going to go from maybe there, cut that and delete that, and bring that over here. Does that go to 0? Go. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Bring that up. The reason why I'm doing it on here, as I said, is because I want to time it. I'm quite happy with that there now. So I'm going to move them off there exactly the right time. And I'm going to create, in fact, I'm going to do that in After Effects. I'm going to select these two, right click, replace in After Effects. To do two things really. I'm going to do a transition between these two in After Effects, but I'm also want them in After Effects because I'm going to place them somewhere else. And I'm just going to go between these two clips, go to Window, Animation Composer. Remember, this is the After Effects version of Premiere Composer right here. And I'm going to Filmmaker's Transitions. Is that like a burn? Maybe a light leak? Oh, I don't know. Glitch, you know me, I love my glitches. Ah, that's good. You see, there's so many more transitions and all that within the After Effects bit, just purely because it's got the processing power. It's amazing. So there's my, that says go, and then that glitches to this coming over. Good, I'm happy with that. This is all good. This is our project 1 linked comp 25. Okay, so this is currently where we're at. I'm just going to close that for now. This is what is currently showing on there. So if I go and find our linked project 25, which will be in here, and there's 25. I'm going to now drag that into here. That's a pre-comp. As a pre-comp, and give it a bit of time to get there. And if I come in here and I turn off the circle and come back here, this should now update, and yeah, it has. And if I press 0 on the keyboard to pre-render, this now starts to count down. You see what I'm doing? It's a little bit too much, in as much as it looks too real. So if I turn that off, that's that, and that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take these two, take these 3. I'm going to pre-compose those, move all the attributes because I don't really need that. And then I'm going to come back here. There's our pre-comped, which is 25, which is there. Good. And I'm going to grab this concrete. I'm going to place it above that pre-comp. I'm going to turn it back on. I'm going to size it up. I'm then going to hide that. And I'm going to take this pre-comp. I'm going to deselect because I want to stretch it out to about there. That's what I want. Maybe here. No, I'm happy with that. So that's my pre-comp there. I'm going to turn back on my concrete, and well, there it is. And I'm going to drop down and I'm going to Lumimat again with the concrete above. So then what that will do, once everything kind of catches up with itself, is we've got the concrete effect over. I'm just going to Control S at this point, come back, and now that will update. So it should have the concrete effect overlay. There we go. And if I Control S there, come back to Premiere Pro, I'm going to set an out point here, an in point there, and pre-render. And then we'll see, once this is fully pre-rendered, just how effective and what you can do once you have successfully tracked a surface. And all this is thanks to the technique, is all thanks to Mocha from Boris FX. And it's the After Effects version of Mocha, which is built in to After Effects. If this doesn't make, or if this hasn't made the case for keeping your software up to date and for paying for that subscription with Adobe, I don't know what would. This is going to take a little bit of time to pre-render. We'll come back when it has. And so there's our sequence, all pre-rendered out. Let me make this a little bit bigger. If we play that through. Looks good, doesn't it? Right, let's really sell this then. If we come back into here and go to some sound effects, let's go for maybe city. We just kind of want city, night. Oh, night urban ambient.
Preview. Preview.
That sounds kind of something that we want. Let's get that down. I also want maybe an air raid, because this is like an announcement, air raid siren. That's good. Let's drop that down. Good. And then I want some, if we have helicopters. I haven't searched any of these before, so we you know, this is how.
Preview.
Yeah, that's what we want. This is just how much I believe in Motion Array. It just has everything you need. Downloads, that's all down, cracking. So if we come back into our Motion Array, we want the helicopter pack. Where's the helicopter pack? There we go. Our sounds. Let's just try the first one. That will do. If we have that coming about, I'm looking here as to when the helicopters come in. I'm going to maybe start it from before, drag that in. I'm going to double it up as well. So that's Alt and drag. I'm going to bring that up for the second one. That's good. Okay, get there. Let's cut them off and get rid of that. And then what I want is the, what else did I download? The air raid alarm siren. Air raid alarm siren. How long? Yeah, that'll do. We'll grab that and put that here. You see, I'm doing this in like literally no time at all. I know when the helicopters come in, so I'm going to cut that and get rid of that. I'm going to put a little fade on the back of that. So that will play like this. We're going to leave that actually. Maybe all the way through actually. Good. And then just to really sell it, I want my night urban ambience, which will be here. and just drag in the first one. That'll do. Maybe bring that up so it's straight in at the time. Put a fade on all of them. Cut off the end there. I'm going to select all of those. Shift and no. I'm going to select Control and select all of these to do Shift and a fade out. I'm going to pre-compose that. And then let's have a look how it looks. And those guys don't really seem bothered at all. How good is that though? Seriously, it's I don't know about you, but that ambience at the end really sells it. If that wasn't on, that's all well and good, but with the ambience on, it's all these little things that help to sell it. Just like we're tracking this and tweaking it and putting a grungy effect on there so it looks like it is being projected onto there. But yeah, it's everything like that that helps to sell it. And yeah, that's our tracking composite. I know it was a long one. I know it was a long section, but I hope you'll agree there are so many different little lessons throughout all this that help all go towards this effect. So impressive.